Welcome to the No Shame Podcast. I'm John Groders. Once a year, filmmakers and producers, actors and directors from all over the world gather to be encouraged in the Lord and in their craft at the International Christian Visual Media Conference, or ICVM. We spent the week interviewing many of those who attended for our podcast.
Have no shame, no, we are not afraid, no shame.
This is John Groders' No Shame Podcast at ICVM. I'm with Chuck Howard. I got to hear Chuck's workshop a couple of days ago, and then one of the best lunchtime speeches I've ever heard in my life was delivered today by Chuck. I mean, you had us laughing and coming up and down, and it was just kind of fun being with you this week. How was it for you?
I look at my speech as the monk saved me.
The monk. we have a Greek Orthodox monk here, and yeah, he was kind of in dialogue with you while you were on the stage today.
Well, I sat next to him, and I said, "How's the monk business?" And from then on, it was like he and I got along great.
He is a great guy. He and I had a chance to even just pray together on this table the other day. This is Chuck Howard, and you may or may not know Chuck. He says he's sort of anonymous, but if you know the music business or now the movie business, and you pay attention, I mean, Chuck, you've done some incredible things in this business, and you've made a lot of people sing.
Well, you know what? I'm beginning. I'm just learning. That's all I'm doing. I'm here to get input from people that actually know the business. So for me, I'm getting input. I know nothing. What I know that I like to build things, and I like to build whole precepts that make things work. And I figure I work on things to make them work. That's all I do.
You seem like de Tocqueville coming from France to America to tell America what America is like. If you're learning, because I've heard you twice this week, and I just keep checking the amen box when you say things that I go, today you said, we can finally consider giving people what they actually want.
Yeah.
And I go, yes.
Yeah, there's all different kinds of Christian movies. So for me, I make a certain type. I love the Kendrick brothers. I can't make those. And so when people try to make those that can't, don't do that. Know your audience. That, to me, is the number one thing. Just know your audience. Some things work and some things don't, and just know that.
Tell me about the movie that's coming out soon. It's playing right now in the other room.
It's Beautifully Broken. Mm-hmm. It comes out August 24th. It's about 3 different families. They all saved each other's lives. I filmed half of it in Africa and half of it in Louisiana. And I have to say, we did some filming in Nashville. And we spent every dime that we had on the screen. And we spent 2 years to 3 years writing it. We spent 6 months filming it and spent a year editing.
You said today, sometimes you don't even like to read your own writing, but in the case of Beautifully Broken, you feel like there's something here.
Yeah, I enjoy it. There's some lines in it that are corny, but there's also, I'm a little corny, so that's kind of, for me, that's kind of real life. There's a couple lines in it that people go, oh man, that's goofy, but I'm sorry, I'm kind of a goofy guy.
Well, when people come, when you see Beautifully Broken, and this is going to be theatrical release, am I right?
Yeah,
okay.
Theatrical, a little over 600 screens.
600 screens, so it comes out in late August. If you have a chance to see Beautifully Broken and you've got your choices, why go see this film?
Because it is uplifting. When you get to the end of this movie, you're going to go, wow. We're going to take you on a journey. You're not going to have any clue how this thing ends. And when you get there, you're going to absolutely love it. You're going to love this journey. You're going to love it. And you'll not guess the ending. You will not guess this ending.
I think I'm resonating with the stuff you've been saying, because if I'm going to actually go out to a movie on a Thursday night, I'm going to go because I want to escape the world and I want to just be entertained. I actually go to a meal to have a good meal. I go to a movie to see a good movie. Is that the same for you?
That is my exact philosophy. I want to go to church. I want to hear a sermon that makes me feel good and makes me want to be a better person. That's just what I like. And when I go to a movie, I want to get out of that day.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, that's what a movie does for me. It's like if I go and make that investment in the theater, I want to escape that day. I want to go into tomorrow. Because today was so heavy that when I go to the theater, I'm gone. And I love that. And that's what I go. I don't go to be preached at. You preach at me in a movie. Like I always said, my brother spent most of his life preaching at me, and he never got me. It was my sister who didn't preach to me that got me.
Your sister, I heard this story, and what really seems that you described as hit you like a dagger was when you realized she was going to treat her employees at her company with compassion, not because it was profitable, but because it was Christ-like, because she was a Christian.
Yes, and the idea. See, I go, when people live a life and I see it, that is more impactful than someone preaching at me. It's just like, you can preach at me all day long and I just, but when someone lives that Christian life, it impacts me so much. It's like my having my sister be that character, that made a moment. I could feel that moment in my life. I could tell you how many dust particles were in the air at that moment. Everything was a count. I could count everything at that moment as what was happening.
You know, Chuck, I would like to meet your sister, because if you're listening to this podcast, we're with Chuck Howard. This is the No Shame podcast with John Groders. He has described today how his own sister had this massive influence on his life. And when you said that, I reached over to my wife and I said, there's nothing harder than bringing a sibling who is cynical into your faith. I'm afraid to death to share my faith with my own brother, to be honest with you, because I've tried before and it didn't go so well. So I'm trying to live it out. But you gave me some encouragement that says, if you have a sibling that you love, you weren't trying to make that point, but that's what I was thinking.
Well, my brother preached at me.
Your brother did?
You're talking about a guy that was a drug dealer, and I mean, acid and all kinds of stuff. And he was a partier, and he came to Christ, and then he was the kind that was always preaching at me. You got to be a Christian, man. And I'm thinking, why?
Yeah.
And I avoided him.
Yeah.
I go, you know what? That's what I think about movies. If I make a Christian movie and I'm preaching at somebody, they're going to avoid it. Mm-hmm. Why do I want everyone to avoid those movies?
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. My sister hit my heart with a dagger, and I didn't know it was coming.
You really have said a few things, and the one that I'm excited about, and I'd really love to just deeply explore this, is that you want to give people what they want. You don't, and it hit me. I want to take the poison out. I want to make a comedy that's fantastic and crazy and funny, and at this point in my life, I just don't need all the poison in there. I want to make drama that is just dramatic and powerful. I want to tell stories of the War of 1812 and the origination of the Star-Spangled Banner in this culture. I don't need to have sermons, and it doesn't. I hope my life, in a way, is a sermon. I believe that God's using us, but I want to make fantastic movies. But I do think what's distinguishing the movies that we might make and Hollywood make is they actually, in my opinion, they force feed the poison into the movie, and if it's not there, they put it in. It's got to be there.
Yeah, it's like someone was telling me about they were making a movie with someone, and they forced them to put in a lesbian scene because it would work. Or they also said, "Oh, this guy will work with the gays," so they immediately promote, because they say this guy's cute. We're going to promote to the gay audience. And I just go, why? What is the whole? Why do people think like this? I don't get it. It's like make it good, make it clean. People go see it.
I had Madeline Carroll in this chair earlier this week. She was just in, she played the role of Shannon, and I can only imagine she was in a film we screamed here called Indivisible. She had to start turning down role after role. She's this beautiful young actress, young Christian actress who's been in the movie since she was 3, but role after role, TV show after TV show that would have paid her very well. She said, I had to turn them down if I was going to maintain my integrity. And then she comes to the point where she wonders if she'll ever work again. What options were there for her? And then she got 3 movies in 1 year, and she was sharing this story. You said that you would take the movies, you would bypass a lot of the traditional distribution methods.
Oh, yeah.
Go straight to the theaters and say, we have a winner for you.
Yeah, I don't care about the distribution, smoosh-abition. I just do it myself. I am so over all the whole hype and pompous. If I hear Hollywood does it like this, I'm so sick Hollywood does it like this. I don't care. I as a music guy, I controlled 75% of the single sales in a 3-year period and controlled 70% of the country music marketplace. So, and I did it with not knowing anything about distribution. So to me, if you have great gut instincts and you're willing to think totally outside the box and absolutely not sell yourself a bill of goods and know about your project, and you go in and you sell it. It's like we're sales guys. You got to have the money to promote them, and you got to have the ability to say, this ain't good enough. I need to redo this. But you have to figure out ways to do it very cheaply. Because the thing is, we could win. We could win the whole audience. If it comes down to that, we could win.
Well, it's so refreshing to hear. Now, I'm with Chuck Howard, and like you said, Chuck has owned the music industry. You know how to produce albums, you know how to distribute albums, you know how to market albums, you must know how to spot talent. What is your genius in the music world anyway? How would you describe it?
First off, I'm not a genius in the music world. I just do what I like. I mean, it's like, here's the best way to describe me is, I like what everyone else likes. I like Andy and Mayberry. That's my favorite all-time TV show. So for me, I can watch a black and white Andy and Mayberry and laugh just as hard at that as anything else in the world. I like just clean cut. I'm a goofball.
Well, that was directed by a 5-year-old Ron Howard, so you know it must be good. Opie. Yeah. And the same thing, I'm a musician, I've done records, I'm a producer and a director, and I've said it's the same thing. I think with your talent, it's the same thing.
Exactly the same thing.
There's some tools, there's some parts, there's some pieces. You better have a good equipment, but it has to reach somebody.
Story, song, all the same. It's all story. It's like how you tell the story. It doesn't have to be the right camera and all. Anyone that tells me, we've got to have this kind of camera or this kind of microphone or this kind of that, that guy is insecure and doesn't know what they're doing. A hit is a hit is a hit is a hit. No matter what it's in, movies, music, whatever makes people buy, it's those things that do it.
Well, if you'd been here this week and had a chance like I have to meet Chuck Howard, you would have laughed quite a bit. You would have met a guy who's been really successful in the industry. You spend most of the time talking about the things you screwed up. You know what?
Those are the most important things.
Huh. You learn some things in the movie business, you've said.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I'll never kill a kid at the end of a movie ever again. Dumb, 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 as Andy would say.
Don't do it.
Don't do
Just
it.
don't do it. Well, go see Beautifully Broken.
August 24th.
And what are you listed on in the credits? What's your credit?
I'm producer, writer. That's it, I think. I'll be honest with you, I'm not even really sure. I know I'm producer and writer. And I'm the head producer and I'm distributing, but it's like, I don't even have a name for my distribution company.
I can help you with that.
That's like nuts. I know it's like I do everything weird.
Fresh. I call it fresh. He said the other day, I like to sit in the chair and say no. I want your job. I like to sit in a chair and say no and not work too hard. But if you guys had a chance to meet Chuck Howard this week, you would be delighted. I am excited to see what you're going to do in the movie industry. I'm shamelessly saying I'd love to work with you someday and have a name on the counter credit.
It'd be fun.
You show refreshingly new ways to approach problems, which is what we desperately need right now. We desperately need to read this culture, to reach out with what we really have to share with this culture, and we have to plow some new roads because the old roads aren't going to let us pass. And I think Chuck Howard is going to, I'm just saying this, I think you're going to be a key plower. You know, you're like a plow out there.
You know what? Like, my theory is don't try to figure it out. Start it, do it, and then figure it out as you go.
Amen. That's my philosophy, and some things are moving, and some things have been, floundering for a while. But this No Shame podcast, we've had Chuck Howard. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Go see Beautifully Broken.
Thank you.
Got no shame.